Alright guys, what's going on? Alright, flea market time, and the hall is not as big as it usually is. Uh, about 30 minutes away there's a town called Hillsville, Virginia. This is the weekend where they usually turn the whole town into a flea market, and it's incredible. Thousands and thousands of people come. And I hit it last night after work a little bit, kind of scope it out, found a few things, and then I went back this morning real early. I was back home by, I think I left my house like at 7:30, and I was back home by 1:30, 2 o'clock or something like that. And strange experience, man. Anybody that's been watching my videos for a while, or you go back and see these flea market hauls, I usually come back with like, stacks of comics and stuff like that on the cheap and everything like that. This one, there's a little bit of a story here. I guess maybe I can paint the picture because it was kind of weird. So hang in there and I'll show my haul if you want to see it. But I got there last night, and first thing I saw when you go into the town, right there on the right, I saw some comic book boxes. Cool, So I get parked, $5 for parking. All right, so yeah. Anyway, so I walk around and I go up there, and probably about 2 years ago, I was well within my first year of doing these videos and stuff like that. I went to a flea market down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And while I was sitting there digging through this guy's quarter boxes, he was looking at his phone, and he was looking at me, and he was looking at his phone, and he was looking at me. And, I was getting to the point where I was like, you got a problem, buddy. I was probably 10 seconds away from saying it. And finally he was like, are you Howlermouse? He was actually watching one of my videos on his phone, which I thought was hilarious. But, well, that worked out in my favor. I got a real good deal on a bunch of comics, and I told him I'd advertise for him on, the video. So that following summer after that, during that same summer, I guess, no, it was last year, I went to a comic book convention in Salem, Virginia. And I was there probably like about 30 minutes and stuff, and I got friends who saw this with me, So I got like a little backup on this story here. And what happens? I saw that guy, and it was amazing because like after I talked to him and stuff, and I moved up a couple booths, I turned around and I saw the guy talking to one of the dealers, and he pointed at me. And then the dealer went over here, and the other dealer went over here, and they were both pointing at me. They were like spreading the word about me or something, about buying comics on the cheap, whatever. I don't know what it was. And the rest of the day was very strange because I hit one of those guys up in his dollar boxes. He had 20, over 20 boxes of comics and stuff. And they were all dollars, and he even told me he hadn't had time to really go through them. And he stood there and he just watched me. These guys started doing this number, just watching me. And I whipped out a Powers number 5, and he was like, son of a bitch, and all this stuff and everything like that. Well, last night at the Hillsville Flea Market, that very first booth I was at, I was going through stuff, and I found some Champions and some Invaders, and some of this stuff wasn't in the greatest shape, don't get me wrong, stuff like that. And then I hear it. The guy goes, hey Howler, I'll have 5 more boxes here tomorrow. I just smiled and had 3 books in my hands, and I just paid for them. I'm like, okay. Walked around, found another guy. He had some comics in good shape, but it was today. And then last night before I left, I found this guy. He had all this stuff. I'd bought stuff off them 2 years in a row, and they have tons of dollar boxes. And I was flipping through there, and he had all kinds of Swamp Thing, and had a huge run of Alan Moore Swamp Thing, and then, bits and pieces after that. And I just needed to check my list and stuff. Well, he was hauling off his boxes at the end of last night, said he wasn't bringing them back. He wasn't doing anything with them. So I go back this morning and stuff, and this is where it kind of got weird, in my opinion. So I get there, and I do a complete 180 there spin of what I usually do. I started on a different end of the flea market and was going to go the opposite, counterclockwise more or less what I was doing. It made sense at the time. And I did find a couple from West Virginia that were selling some comics and stuff, and got some stuff off them, but I ended up starting talking to this guy. He came up and started talking to me. He was there to buy comics too. And he didn't buy anything. So I got a couple comics there, started walking around through the rest of the flea market, and I would find some comics, and he would like appear like smoke out of nowhere. And this happened like 4 or 5 times within like 2.5 hours. And finally, it was freaking me out. He was following me, to find the comics, but he never bought anything, and I never saw him behind me. But as soon as I laid hands on some comics, bam, he was right beside me and stuff. And he was like, what do you think of this, and what do you think of that? I just finally looked at him and said, why don't you just walk with me? I'm kind of an introvert. I'm not really big into small talk. I'd rather be, it's very awkward for me. So I'd rather be like talking to a crowd and stuff. And so I was going to let this guy, and he completely freaked out. I don't know what the deal was. So I was like, kind of a little paranoid there for like about the next 15 minutes. And then I hit one place, and this broke my heart. These comics that this guy had were actually in a wood box covered in dirt, not dust. And I was going through them, and it was like old Dale comics, old Whitman comics, Condor Man. It was just some amazing old comics. And these things weren't, if you graded comics, you go from poor to like Jim Mint. You couldn't even grade these comics; they were rotten. And I was just shaking my head. I couldn't believe it. It was like Bronze Age Marvel, some Tales to Astonish. Just I couldn't believe it. And then I found another dealer, and I got there, and I was like, oh wow! And I could see from a distance that it was like DC Bronze Age stuff. And I get up there, man, and every one of those comics, this was the opposite of moisture damage. This was like, these things were like almost dry rotted, and all the covers were like faded. Like, I don't know how they just, he had stacks, okay, like about that high, and he had about 20 of them, just stacked, 20 stacks like that on a table, and every one of them were sun bleached and dry rotted. I could not believe it. And there was like, it was just some really great 70s DC stuff in there that I just could not believe. And that's what's bizarre about the whole thing. Just about everywhere I found comics and stuff, they were beyond rotten. We're talking Jack Kirby Fantastic Fours, just about anything Marvel you can think of from the Bronze Age and stuff. I even saw Jim Starlin covers, and these things just weren't even worth, and they wanted $1 for them. Then I found one place where the comics were ripped all to pieces, and they just slapped $20 a piece on each of these comics. It was ridiculous and stuff, so I don't know what was going on. So, I was able to get through there. I'm not going to say that I had a bad time or anything like that, but it was just one of the more bizarre, it was just a very bizarre day. You just really had to be in there. It was really surreal. So anyway, here's kind of some stuff I got and stuff. I even hit a Goodwill Friday night and stuff before I went down there Thursday night. I don't know. Anyway, so I got some movies and I got some comics, and now we're going to get to it after you listen to me for 7 minutes. Okay. Goodwill find Puff the Magic Dragon from '78. Yes, it's the Peter, Paul, and Mary song. They made a cartoon out of it. And I'm sure a lot of people know, if you remember this, they suspect that saying Puff the Magic Dragon is really a drug reference to marijuana. You're going to puff it and you're going to drag on it, and it's a magic dragon. So, whatever. Mystery Science Theater, the shorts. This is where they have stuff like those old educational black and white movies they showed in the 50s and stuff about hygiene and parents and getting along and home economics and stuff. And they make fun of it, And then I could not believe I found these. I think these were like $2 a piece, and I went for it. Mystery Science Theater, 3,000. And I've never seen these cheaper than $10, at least around here. Here's one called Mitchell, and as an added bonus, which I might throw in with my contest that's going on, it came with 2 of the same movie of Mitchell. So it's 2 of the same movie in here. I don't know. It sounds like it was more of a shipping mistake than anything. And then I found this one, I Accuse My Parents. And these are all the early series with Joel in it. Those are the ones I like. Nothing wrong with Mike, the second host. Wild World of Batwoman. I just watched this online a couple weeks ago, which cracked me up. And then I found, this is Spinal Tap, so Hello Cleveland. Turned it up to 11. And I've been wanting to watch this. I think I watched this when it first came out, Requiem for a Dream. So we'll see how that is. And of course, with the Disney collection, this has the story of my man John Henry. That's my favorite folk tale. Disney's folk tales. 3 Caballeros, which mixes some live action in there. Saludos Amigos, which I think means greeting friends. I know just enough to get by. I know how to say. I know how to ask for a pencil. I know how to ask where the bathroom is. I know how to count to 10. I think I know how to say hello. And this is a movie that I would have bought anyway, even if I wasn't getting Disney stuff. I loved this movie as a kid, which I'm sure many people have. Bed knobs and broomsticks. You find a magical bed knob and you twist it on your bed, and it turns your bed into a traveling mechanism through time and space and dimensions or something. I don't know, I'm playing. But anyway, it mixes live action and cartoons, so that was really cool. And now on to the comics. Alright, like I said, a lot of this stuff was $1 a piece, and where I wasn't buying that much, I actually spent some money on a couple books, which goes against everything the Howlermouse channel is about. I'm not going to get into the person I bought this off of because they tried to rip me off, and I asked them how much their comics were. Oh, $1, $2, $3. I'm like, well, how do I know the difference? And he had a bunch of them stacked across the table, and then he had a little short box. I said, how much are the books in the short box? And he said, $1. I get up there, and he tried to tell me they were $2. Even brought his dad out like they're going to intimidate me. And I said, how do I know? I said, you told me $1. How do you know what's $1 and $2? And finally, I just took the books that he said were $1, and I put some back, and he said, here, just take them and stuff. So, kind of shady people. But anyway, I got the first print, Star Wars Dark Empire. I've avoided buying this for years, and I finally gave in, so I got issue 1. Uh-oh. Issue 2. These came out they started in '91, and they were bi-monthly, and there were 6 of them, so it took a year. Number 3. And this is the story that's supposed to continue on after Return of the Jedi back then. And man, this thing took off. Man, I remember that it even had it was so popular, the guy that wrote it, Tom Vetch, ended up getting independent writing credit for it, and they made an audio tape of it. And I think they made an audio play of this. I mean, this thing was pretty hot there for a little bit, which I'm sure it's not now. I'm not really sweating it. Ronin number 3. This was the one that about caused the blow up because he said it was $1. I want to say it was $2, and I'm not arguing because of the money. I'm arguing because of the principle of the matter. I wouldn't have wasted my time there if he's going to sit there and try to change the prices when I went up there with it. I'm probably coming out sounding bad, but go to a flea market. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, Justice League Unlimited number 8. Okay, the Question Story. Always wanted this. I bet this is only like about a $3 or $4 book, but man, when this came out, after seeing the Question in the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, never saw it. Never saw hide nor hair of it. It was gone. So I was just really glad to get that. Alright, got these, lucked up. There's a couple of 2-part miniseries throughout the 90s. I think there's like maybe 3 of them, of Dark Horse and DC getting together. And Matt Wagner would do the art and the story for both of them. There's Batman and Grendel tales. Excuse me, I don't know a lot about Grendel. I tried to do some reading, and I pretty much stepped away from Grendel when I read something about how the Grendels, I don't know if they're assassins or what they are, but apparently it's kind of like they're a tribe, a secret tribe. And I stopped really pursuing knowing more about Grendel when I found out that I read something where somewhere along the line of the Grendels, they would cut the babies out of the female Grendels and sew them into the male Grendels to give birth. That was enough for me. Anyway, but this is a 2-part story where it's Batman and Grendel, and these are, I really enjoyed these. I don't want to push them on anybody, but Batman versus Grendel. Grendel to me is like an unacclaimed Batman villain. I mean, it was really good. They're really enjoyable, and that's the word I would use, enjoyable. Alright, I just got this to fill in my piecemeal. I now have the entire Justice League Europe, Justice League America. That spawned out of Justice League / Justice League International, the breakdowns. After 5 years on the book, James DeMantis and Keith Giffen on the books, the little Justice League world they had going on, they did breakdowns where they just kind of did this huge, massive, I think it was a 12-part story or something like that called Breakdowns, where they just, everything just that had happened in the 5 years came to a head. Alright, Silver Star number 2 from PC Comics with Jack Kirby. I'm determined to get these because I've got 2-3 issues of these, and I could not make heads or tails of it to even do a review. It is so out there. So I'm determined. I'm thinking I need to read them all to figure it out what this is really about. Maybe about nothing. I don't know. I grabbed this, DC Comics Presents, I think it's number 66, because it's Joe Kubrick and Lynn Wein. I couldn't pass that little team up. Excellent art in this. Alright, and then I'm coming closer to completing my Invaders on the cheap. Got these for $1. Number 12, Jack Kirby cover. Number 13, that great 70s Roy Thomas World War II period piece. Just really good stuff. I really enjoy them. Got these for $1 a piece, and I had these. I had this whole miniseries, and I've got 1 issue left. Not, before buying these. I don't know what happened to them. I didn't sell them. All I can figure out is maybe I got ripped off somewhere. But anyway, Sin City, Dame to Kill For, #1. This is going to be part of the story in the new Sin City movie that they're shooting. And #6, these are the first prints. Great stuff. Found these for $1, and these are really probably only worth $5. You know, Marvels. It's blown my mind because these are 19 years old. These are next year. These will be 20. This will be the 20th anniversary of Marvels. Of you know, Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross, sort of doing a 4-part miniseries that was completely painted. And I think Alex Ross probably only had 2-3 projects before this. This is where he blew up. He worked for Now Comics, and it seems like he did something else. He did a Terminator miniseries, The Burning Earth, for Now Comics before this. #4, The Day She Died, the Gwen story. This is an excellent, excellent chapter. I really love this. Kind of the closing to the Silver Age. It's kind of telling the story of the Marvel Universe from the Golden Age up until the Silver Age, and it's from the point of view of this photographer. And it's how being in this universe, you know, looking over all the stuff that happened in those books back then, how it would affect normal people. And, you know, he took this point of view writing style and applied it to Astro City. Kurt Busiek did. Found this for $1, Superman #317. Not a Whitman variant or anything like that, but it's just a Neil Adams cover. I think this is from 77 or 78. 77. Kurt Swan did the inside. Just a really good, really good. I really enjoy that Neil Adams cover there. So, alright, I found this for $1. Couldn't pass it up because it's a Bronze Age black cover, which are really hard to find in good shape. And this one's only got 3 little stress lines on it. You know, one magic word, Shazam #3, with 2-3 stories in here by C.C. Beck. This came out in '73, so it's a 40-year-old comic. Just in excellent condition, you know. Got this. I'm a step closer to finishing this. 2001: A Space Odyssey #9. Second appearance of Machine Man when he was called Mr. Machine. I found that really interesting, and I had to look at this before I bought it. Man, this book was so weird when I was reading it as a kid, like, you know, 79, 80 and stuff. You know, it came out way before then. It was ahead of its time. It was so ahead of its time. Oh, see, I can get stuck looking at that. X51. Good stuff. Alright, and then I found this. I got a pretty good deal on this. I'm thinking this is books worth $10 to $12. It's Miracle Man #10 by Alan Moore. And the Miracle Man books really, I kind of like the idea of how most titles, the earlier issues are worth money, and as they, you know, move up, you know, getting their, you know, first 3 issues are usually worth more than the 4th issue and the 5th issue, and they go up and stuff. Well, this book, to me, it looks like the issues become more valuable the higher in number they get, and there is 1 or 2 issues there where they're impossible to find and they're worth big money. So yeah, Alan Moore. Then this was taken over by Neil Gaiman. Then I found this for $1. First appearance of Impulse. And what's funny is this has been on my mind for 3 or 4 months. I've really wanted to have this book because when this book came out, in the mall that we had where I'd go down and watch the movies or shoot pool, play video games, and stuff like that, they had a CVS pharmacy and they had a spinner rack. And this book stayed there for 2 or 3 months, and I kept looking at it and looking at it. And I'm like, I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to get that because I'm sitting here thinking it's a Kid Flash ripoff. You know, I just couldn't do it. And lo and behold, as soon as I find out that it's worth money, I need to look up what year that was. I might be acting like I'm younger than what I was back then. And lo and behold, Impulse took off, and I went back to get it, and of course it was gone. And it stared at me in the face for 3 months. So, yeah, I'm really glad to get that. And then these are the books where Howlermouse spent some money. You know, I had some money left over. I was getting tired of looking around. There's people starting to argue over stuff. Oh, before I show them, though, I found this for $2. Masters of the Universe, the little mini comic that came with the first line of toys. Alfred Alcala, I can never say his name. Alfred Alcala did the art in these. He's known for inking and pinup art and stuff in Conan the Barbarian. Really well done little mini comics. But anyway, people were starting at the flea market. I was at a place where somebody dropped a little figurine statue, and the guy that had the booth ran up to these 2 women that he claimed were just standing there. And they started arguing about, you will pay for it. And like, well, we didn't knock it down. And I just kind of walked off. When I walked off, I turned right around to another booth that had comics that said half off. And I still talked the guy down. So basically, I think I ended up paying, we'll say $5 a pop for these. Hellblazer number 1 and Hellblazer number 2. So I was really glad to find those. So okay, anyway, thanks for sticking in. Sorry we ran long. Always apologizing for that crap, but you know. Oh, have a good weekend.